Hello YouTube, welcome to a video that I'm going to be making just for you guys, documenting how a whale would play voltage ranking. Now, I'm going to do this with one particular song because I have all the pieces to it. This isn't going to be everything, unless, there are some of you that, do want to see kind of the strategies I talk about in action in some of my preview videos, as far as, for voltage rankings, for SBL, and things of the like. Now, the song we're going to play tonight is Miracle Wave. The event just started, so voltage ranking songs are out. Once again, the voltage ranking songs for this event are Snow Halation, Miracle Wave, and Margaret. Miracle Wave is the song that I can, of the three, do the best on. Reason being is I have Kanan and Setsuna, both with 4 medium same strategy insights, and I have a max limit break Train Nico. Sorry. Now granted, all of the other backline cards you see, and when I talk about backline, I am talking about the other 6 cards that are not in this center 3. So, between Kanata, Kanata, Initial Kotori, Initial Honoka, we'll talk about this a little later, Magical Time Nozomi, Cheerleader Kanan, and Hiking Event Maru, of these 6 cards, only one of them actually has really good insights on them, and that's Kanata. I actually have 4 medium group insights on Kanata. Everything else maybe has 1 or none. In the case of Initial Honoka, she is maximum broken, so she has a maximum of 3 insights. And, she has 2 small groups and a medium year, which doesn't really help a ton. Now, speaking of this card, the reason why I am running this particular card for this particular song is just in case I do not pass the skill activation AC. Without this card, if I do not pass the skill activation AC, I can still survive the song and not die. If I don't include this card and I fail the skill activation AC, I immediately die. With it, I can still run a no sustain card, main strategy, here denoted here in the red, by the red, and still get all the way to the end of the song. Now, a lot of these cards in the formation make sense, right? Kanata with 4 medium groups, okay, I get it. Initial Kotori makes sense. Magical Time Nozo makes sense. Hiking Event Maru makes sense, right? We're running 3 active attribute cards. We might as well get an active attribute appeal buff passive card. And so a lot of people are probably going to be wondering about Cheerleader Kanan and why this Cheerleader Kanan is here. The reason that the Cheerleader Kanan is here is because if we remember and go back into Miracle Wave, right? That Miracle Wave, the note gimmick, the main note gimmick is plus 20% appeal to the strategy until you switch subunits or switch strategies. So that means if I just stick on one strategy, my Train Nico, no matter what, is going to cap out. So, with this gimmick note in mind, the only thing we're really worried about is this 3rd AC, where we have to activate 9 tap skills, basically. We do that, we score really, really well. We don't, it becomes a lot tougher to score. And so with the Cheerleader Kanan, we're actually going to double down and take Cheerleader Kanan guests. Now, because for the most part, Train Nico, Kanan, Setsuna are going to be tapping for 57.5k over the course of the song. What we are going to do is utilize Kanan in the center. And because we have her in the center, if we pick Cheerleader Kanan, if this guest Cheerleader Kanan goes off, our guest Cheerleader Kanan will refill based off of Kanan's base appeal. So, when this Cheerleader Kanan, when her live show active goes off, if it procs, she's essentially going to give us a half a gauge fill. Which, if our guest Cheerleader Kanan and our main formation Cheerleader Kanan both go off, we have a 3/4 gauge fill between just these two cards. And when you're tapping for maximum value every single time, especially in a voltage ranking setting, what a lot of the upper echelon players start to think of is, okay, how can I work my way around the voltage cap? Because even if you have a limit break 0, limit break 0, limit break 3 choker setup, like I do in this particular team, great, you're tapping for 57.5k, but there is always a way to get more voltage, to get a higher score. One of the first ways you go about that is to see if you can swap out one of your scoring cards for an SP gauge fill tap active card. That's the first part of it. The second, how can I generate more gauges? Again, you're switching out voltage type cards for gauge fillers, and that includes the utilization of Cheerleader Kanan in both the guest and the main formational slot. So as you can see, I have all of these 3 chokers, as you can see on this red formation. Limit break 3, limit break 0, limit break 0. I also have 3 very weak necklaces that we are going to go ahead and utilize. That is my next order of business. I need to get limit breaks on these necklaces so that I can actually start tanking a lot more and not worry too much. That's another thing that a lot of the upper echelon players, have over somebody like me, who is competitive, has good cards, but not necessarily as lucky when it comes to getting drops on key items. Now with that, we're gonna play Miracle Wave, and we're actually gonna do a full 5 playthroughs. I haven't done any of my playthroughs yet, so I'm gonna do a total of 5, just so you can see kind of what the score variance is for every 5 runs. All right, so first run, 15.22 million. Okay, but not great. Still leaking quite a bit of voltage. I wouldn't consider that as one of my better runs. As you can see here, I have a high score of 16.2, so 15, it's on the lower end of the spectrum. Now, as you probably saw, I broke my combo in there as well. It doesn't matter as much, but it does hurt. And the most important kind of RNG factor for this song, well, there's two. It is the Cheerleader Kanon proc, and then it is the skill activation proc. One of the good things about Train Nico's kit that lends her to this particular song is her live show active, which adds an additional 15% skill activation rate up to active attribute cards when an AC starts. If you can proc that, if that live show active from Nico goes off when you get to that third AC, it gets you that much closer to naturally clearing the AC. Otherwise, it's, as you saw, it's pretty rough out there. We have another Cheerleader Kanon guest in our back pocket. The Train Nico not proccing here is kind of screwing me up a little bit. Okay, so we just took our previous run, which didn't have that many Cheerleader Kanon guest procs, to a 15-9 run with just a couple extra. So you can see that this is a pretty high variance way that people trying to compete for the voltage ranking titles are going to be subject to. It's very, very high variance. Sometimes you get lucky and you get those procs. Sometimes you don't, and it just feels terrible. Now, I've seen people definitely try to go through and, as soon as they get a gauge, pop it. Which you can do, if you're able to get off some of these procs, it does help. If you're able to proc either the guest or your formational Cheerleader Kanon in the, basically after the end of the first AC, heading into the second AC, give yourself an extra gauge fill. It helps. Train Nico activating also helps a ton as well, but you know that's kind of what you're having to deal with, as far as variance. I see that was actually great for us. Oh, we're not gonna pass this AC. $16.19, best score so far out of all three of the runs. Luckily, we went from 15.2 to 15.9. Now we're at 16. Is this the highest score that you can achieve? No, not in the slightest. The highest score I've personally seen off of this was from Hanpen, one of the JP whales, and he scored, I believe, 18.26 million. It was in the 18 million range. Now, granted, right? He basically has a team built for whaling, right? All the best Appeal Plus backliners, all of them with medium groups. Basically everything you could ask for. But, just because you have that doesn't mean that necessarily you're gonna beat everybody. You have to find a way to maximize your cards and score the best that you can. So that's basically what he does. He takes his time. He's very thorough with his team building. He tests. He does. He makes little tweaks here and there. Depending on the song and the song's gimmicks, and that's what a lot of higher level players do. Depending on the song gimmick, depending on the cards that they have, they'll make little tweaks here and there to figure out, okay, which of these will give me the best shot to score as high as I possibly can. There's our guest con on refill. I'm actually going to hold this because the AC is really close. Probably one of our weaker scores. Yep. 15-5, so that lands third place out of the 4 runs we've done so far. And you know, to address probably something else that a lot of you are thinking, right? Chaz, you keep failing that AC. Why don't you just switch into something that'll clear that AC? Well, if you remember the gimmick note that we talked about, plus 20% appeal until you switch strategies. What does that mean? You are disincentivized to running a second strategy just to clear that third AC. Now, how do you clear the third AC? There's an extra 20% skill activation rate for guard type cards. And while you can run something like a Fesrico, I would advise against it because, you know, especially if you have the option between running a max limit break Fesrico and a max limit break train Nico, I would take the Nico over the Rico. Because even with Fesrico, an active attribute guard type that is very good for scoring with other active attribute cards, even with her and with that in AC gimmick of, you know, a 20% skill activation rate up for guard type cards, it still is probably not gonna allow you to clear the AC. Which, if I know I'm not gonna clear the AC anyway, but I do give myself enough stamina to at least tank it and clear every other AC, I put myself in a better position. Alright, so this is going to be our last run heading in here. Thank you so much, everybody. If you've stuck around and watched the video and have gone through all the runs and kind of have seen, you know, this little sneak peek into, you know, what people competing on voltage ranking leaderboards looks like. And if, you know, a lot of you enjoy this content and want to see more, you know, with, you know, different events, different songs, so long as YouTube doesn't claim it, you know, maybe we'll go ahead and, you know, make this a regular series. You know, just different depending on, you know, the voltage ranking and such. Get lucky on a Kanon proc here. Oh. Did not. only scored 16-0. Wish I could have scored better, but I mean, those are the breaks. Now, what I am probably going to do going forward is I'm going to clean up a lot of these runs, bump out a lot of the lower scores, as my guest list refreshes. I'll definitely, work on these scores a lot more. If you want to see the process, you'll be able to see it on Twitch, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow on Twitch, I am planning to take care of a lot of JP stuff. Do the Smile Pure Tower of Dreamlight Parade, which is pretty easy and should go pretty quick. So after I'm finished with that, I will probably come back and do more voltage runs. And for the rest of the week, well, for those of you here on YouTube that may not know, it's a bit of a surprise. If you want to jump in the stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have a special weekend lined up that will probably involve me slamming on my desk a ton. But yeah, with that, thank you everybody for watching. I will see you all later. Have a great time. Bye!